In 1645, Japan was entering a long era of peace, and a man who had survived a lifetime of war retreated to a remote mountain cave to face his final days. This was Miyamoto Musashi. He was a legendary swordsman, nearing the end of his life, reflecting on a world that was rapidly leaving the chaos of the battlefield behind. Musashi had survived more than 60 life-or-death duels. His existence was defined by physical combat and the lethality of split-second timing. Yet his final act on Earth was not a manual on sword techniques. Instead, he dedicated his remaining strength to writing a guide for internal, psychological mastery. He titled this scroll the Dokkodo, the Way of Walking Alone. It contained 21 strict precepts for his closest disciple to live by. The third rule on that list is strikingly specific. It warns, do not under any circumstances depend on a partial feeling. Musashi defines a partial feeling as an emotional state that has become unmoored from the full context of a situation. It is a fragment of perception, masquerading as the whole truth. Why would a man whose survival once relied on pure instinct spend his dying hours explicitly warning his student against trusting immediate feelings? In high-stakes combat, a swordsman who attacks fueled by sudden anger operates from a narrow window of perception. In both ancient duels and modern markets, human emotion instinctively manufactures total certainty long before the actual evidence has arrived. We can visualize this sudden emotional response as an iceberg. The tip above the waterline is the immediate feeling of anger or excitement. Below the surface, we see what the emotion is actually responding to: past experiences, biases, and missing information. To survive these high-stress moments today, elite pilots and tactical teams rely on a mental cycle called the OODA loop, short for observe, orient, decide, and act. The system fails most often during the orient phase, where we filter facts through our existing biases. This is exactly where Musashi places his guardrail, forcing the mind to pause and account for the unseen data below the waterline before reaching a decision. Acting on a partial feeling means making a permanent life decision while willfully blinding yourself to 80% of the available information. Returning to the silence of the cave, a tension emerges between Musashi's caution and the need for action. It prompts us to ask, does this discipline demand we become hesitating, unfeeling machines? There is a vital distinction between a dangerous, reactive, partial feeling and the highly trained intuition of a veteran firefighter or a chess master. True expert intuition relies on deep pattern recognition built over decades of rigorous practice. It is not a fleeting, unearned emotional impulse. Musashi was not advocating for the suppression of all emotion, but for a strict discipline that delays judgment until reality is fully perceived. This rule aligns with a global heritage of ancient wisdom. Thousands of miles away, the Bhagavad Gita describes Krishna teaching Arjuna the exact same principle on the eve of battle. They called it equanimity, the ability to act decisively without being manipulated or ruled by passing emotional states. As Musashi passed this final scroll to his disciple, he left behind a practical challenge for anyone trying to navigate high-stakes decisions today. The next time you feel absolute certainty, based entirely on a first impression, ask yourself what facts you are willfully ignoring. True mastery is having the patience to wait for the whole picture before swinging your sword.